Welcome everyone to tonight's webinar. We are so excited to have you this Monday evening and featuring this amazing opportunity, a nice one-on-one session with Hope Linker, a social media strategist. And this is a wonderful webinar for you to just ask your questions. So this is going to be a little interactive. And so I'm going to go over a couple of Zoom things before we get started. So you have two ways that you can communicate with Hope and myself tonight. One is using the chat box, and I just want to emphasize that you ensure you're saying it to either the host or panelists or to everyone if you want to make your chat known to everyone. And then the other way is we invite you to verbalize your questions. So if you want to use your microphone, feel free to raise your hand, and that is just in the middle of your Zoom bar. You can raise it and I will unmute you so you can essentially talk with Hope. And if you have any additional questions, like need some tech help, tech troubleshooting, feel free to spread it or say it, and we will communicate that and I will help you troubleshoot. All right, so a little bit of library news. We're here for lots of needs that you may have. So you can essentially ask for help with us. Always visit our website, champaign.org, for any news updates, any new services. You can always book a one-on-one session. If you go to champaign.org/book-a-librarian, you can live chat with us during our open hours, or you can send us an email at librarian@champaign.org. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and take my slides down so Hope we can see your face a little bit nicer.
Yes, sounds good. So yeah, this one will be a little bit different than our previous webinars just because I don't have slides in front of me for this one. And yeah, this is going to be a little bit more of an informal discussion, but Q&A as we go. And I kind of have some common questions that I tend to get just from people in kind of everyday conversations about social media for business. So we could always save those for the end as well. But I'm excited for this one. So the first three parts of this webinar series were all about Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And now this one is just kind of general social media questions. Any questions that you have about like current updates with social media and or like what you've learned so far in this webinar series. So go ahead and hit me with the first question if you've got some.
All right, Allison, I just unmuted you, so feel free to go ahead. Hello.
Hi, Hope. Hey, Madeline. So I have a quick question about the number of hashtags on Instagram specifically. I know there's been some changes, and I think someone at Instagram said we don't need to use 30 anymore. But then I've heard that people who have been testing it have not really been convinced that you don't need to use more or less than 30. Do you have any insights into that?
Yes, this is such a good question, and I wish I had a super clear-cut answer for you, but I will just tell you that like just about anything in the social media world, I experiment with a lot of different things. So yes, the head of Instagram came out and said something about, using 3 to 5 hashtags. And of course, like in the social media industry, that blew up and everyone was mind blown and all of that. However, they didn't really go into explaining why or offering a whole lot of insight. And what I have found is that 3 to 5 is a really good number, and it almost makes you even more intentional about which hashtags you choose. And I can kind of go into what I mean by that if you'd like. But I've tested on my own account as well as some of my client accounts that I do social media management for. And I have not noticed that Instagram is punishing accounts for using 30 hashtags still. I have not noticed that using only 3 to 5 is performing much better. So I know that that's not a super clear cut answer, but my in my experience and my suggestion to you, it would just be really to experiment and test, and whether you use 3 to 5 hashtags or you use 10, or 17 or 30, just make sure that they're purposeful. And I like to kind of avoid using like massive hashtags, especially for smaller accounts. And what I mean by that is posts with millions of or hashtags with millions of posts under them, such as something really broad like hashtag fitness or hashtag business. Those are going to have millions of posts under them, and you're going to be a lot less likely to be discovered through using that hashtag as a small account. So I think kind of a happy medium for smaller accounts, anywhere from like 1,000 followers to maybe 30,000 followers. A happy medium or a good range to stick with is anywhere from like 20,000 posts under that hashtag all the way to maybe like 400,000. And again, I know that's a wide range and it's kind of general advice. But just like a lot of social media updates and announcements and things like that, I think it really is up to experimentation. And another really quick disclaimer that I'll make is that your hashtags are not going to make or break your post. I think that is something that's evolved a lot in the past couple of years. For your hashtags to really perform well on Instagram, everything else has to be in line too. So Instagram will first send your post out to your followers. And if your followers engage with it well and engage with it fast, then they will show it to the hashtags. And if it performs well with the hashtags that you use and the people that are following those hashtags, then it will be potentially shown to the explore page. So a little bit of a long-winded answer for you, but that's a great first question, because I know a lot of people are asking about that, and a lot of people are wondering about that. And I will say, it's good to pay attention to your hashtags, and it's good to experiment with 3 to 5, all the way to 30, somewhere in between. Experiment with the hashtags that you use. But just know that like your content is so much more important. So don't stress out about hashtags. Don't do hours of research on hashtags. Focus on your content first. And if your content is great, then the hashtags can help carry it a little bit further. I hope that
Thanks
that was helpful.
Yeah, thank you so much, Hope. That's really helpful. And if I can just ask a quick follow-up, I mean, I sometimes use the business suite to post to both Facebook and Instagram, just as like a streamlining process. But if I put in a lot of hashtags or any hashtags, like for an Instagram post, they also go to Facebook. Is that okay? Because I know Facebook doesn't use them as much, or maybe they do, and I'm a little outdated with my knowledge. Any suggestions for that, or can I just let them go to Facebook as well?
Yeah, that is a great follow-up question. It's not going to hurt your Facebook post, at least from what I have seen in my experience. However, like kind of like you mentioned, people just aren't really using hashtags on Facebook like they are on Instagram. And I prefer, kind of a personal preference, and I've heard this from others as well, just as users of social media. I kind of prefer a Facebook post to be a little bit more clean and not have, especially if it's up to 30 hashtags. I think that seeing that on Facebook almost looks like a little amateur, if that makes sense. Again, because people just aren't as familiar with hashtags on Facebook. So I totally recommend that you use Business Suite. So it's awesome that you're already doing that. My suggestion would be to edit the scheduled post on the Facebook side of Business Suite once you have it scheduled or prepped in both Facebook and Instagram, or just edit your Instagram or edit your Facebook post to remove the hashtags like right after it goes live, or whenever you're able to. And again, not something to majorly stress over, but just in my kind of personal preference or experience, I've noticed that Facebook hashtags just there's not a true real purpose, and people aren't as familiar with them over there. So I would recommend removing them.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Really helpful.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you so much for asking that question. And we actually had a question that's similar, well, on the same vein, that was emailed earlier today, and it was about hashtags within the Instagram posts. Do you put it on the post itself, or do you comment underneath it with the hashtags just so people don't have to see it? Because I know I see that as trending in a lot of the people I follow, and I'm not sure if it's, well, is it still tagging the post itself, or is it just, does it still work if it's just in the comments?
Yes, that's another really good question. And that was actually something that the head of Instagram touched on a little bit the same time that he announced that 3 to 5 kind of magic number. And I have found that it does work, whether it's in the caption or in the comment section, the first comment right away when your post is published on Instagram. For my client accounts and for my own personal account, I have been putting it more in the caption ever since, because that's what the creators account of Instagram did share in the past. I think it was a couple of months ago. So they recommended that. Now, I've still tried a few times to put them in the first comment. They're still being tagged with that hashtag, no matter where you put it. So I do think that like the creators account on Instagram and or Adam Mosseri, which is the head of Instagram that shares more insights and things like this. I think they kind of share general best practices, but truly there's no magic number. There's there's a lot of like little hacks and things like that that people share. But in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't always make the biggest difference. So again, long-winded answer from me, but whether it's in the caption or the comment section, it'll work either way. Again, kind of personal preference. If you like your caption to be a little bit more clean, especially if it's a long caption and you want to drop the hashtags down and kind of hide them in the comment section, that's a great strategy. And I would say either one is great. So personal preference.
Thank you, Hope. And another question on hashtags. Do you have a resource or ideas on where should we find ideas for hashtags? Like, because we want to make sure they're not too generalized. Where would you recommend starting?
Great question. It might sound a little overwhelming, but I think the best thing to do is just to start by typing in a hashtag in the search bar of Instagram. So let me try to think of an example here. So let's say somebody is let's say it's a personal trainer. So they're in the fitness, health, wellness industry, and they want to start using hashtags that their ideal client is following or they're searching for. So that might be hashtag meal ideas or hashtag meal prep Monday is kind of like a really common one. That one might be huge by now, one of those with millions and millions of posts under it, but just kind of some examples to jog some inspiration, I guess. But I would start with those hashtags. Think about the things that the person that you want to work with as a personal trainer, what are they searching for? What do they need help with? And start by typing in some ideas and see what populates. Instagram will actually show you a bunch of ideas right away when you search. And then when you click on a post, you can see some of the most engaging, widely reached posts under that hashtag. And from there, you can kind of see, okay, what other hashtags are they using? Is this post attracting the person that I want to attract as well? And they used to show suggested hashtags when you search for one. It would actually pop up with suggested others as well. I don't know if it always does that anymore. So that would be something to play around with as well. But I would just start with one. Again, thinking about your ideal customer and putting yourself in their shoes and thinking about what they need help with, what industry am I in, start there and then kind of go from there. And again, keep in mind that range that I shared, which again is not a magic number, but that's just something that I've found to work for smaller accounts that are wanting to grow and wanting to be discovered by more people.
Thank you so much, Hope. So we've had a couple more people join us. I want to encourage you to type in any questions you have for Hope this evening. Also, something fun that we could do, if anybody wants to share their handles, Hope has also offered to kind of look at your accounts and maybe give some tips.
Yes, I would love to do that. I like to do audits. So if there's like something that you need help with as far as your bio goes, or what your grid preview looks like, or if you need help determining what your Instagram highlight section should look like or what you should have there, I'd be happy to do that kind of like a rapid fire social media audit round. That would be great.
Yeah, looks like we have someone who raised their hand. Allison, feel free to go ahead.
Hey, Hope. I would love to have an audit done on my business Instagram page. Are you okay with that?
Absolutely. Yeah. Do you want to
Okay.
tell me your handle?
Yes, it's rooted, like rooted .accents. That's it.
Rooted.accents.
And then
Okay.
Hope, would you be able to share your screen?
Yes, absolutely. Instagram runs a little slow, or I guess my Google Chrome in general runs a little slow when I'm on Zoom, but we'll make this work, and I will share my screen. And I found you, Allison. So
Yeah, and just as to introduce kind of the business that I have, I'm an accent and dialect coach.
okay.
I work predominantly with non-native English speakers on just becoming more clear and confident with their spoken English.
Yes. Okay. This is awesome. You have such a great start. I love that you're like, this is huge. It's a bright, clear photo of your face. You're smiling. That is perfect. And that's what I recommend for most people in like a personal brand setting, or someone like you, like a service provider in a sense. So that your profile photo is perfect. You're smiling. That's great. Let's see. So you have your name and your niche, which again, this is something that somebody might search for. And the reason why I point this section out, you can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, wanted to make sure. The reason why I point this section out, it's called your name field section. And I want to call this out because this is actually searchable. So if you meet somebody, let's say you meet somebody in the grocery store and you tell them your name, and you say like, yeah, I have this business called Rooted Accents. Look me up on Instagram. Here's how I spell my name, Allison. They can actually search your name. And let's say they totally forgot what your business name is, but if they search this, Allison, and then speech coach or something like that, you will still pop up based on any of these words that they search. So that's great. You want to have something in that section that is searchable by somebody. So awesome job for that as well. You have your speech pathologist as your category, which is great. So your bio says coaching for clear and confident English, academic and professional speech improvement. That's really good. Okay, let me think here. Coaching for clear and confident English. I guess the only suggestion that comes to mind right away is there like an age range of people that you work with? Is there anything that you could make this even more specific? I guess just me as an outsider, not knowing much about you yet, and if I were landing on your page for the first time, which is what we're doing right here, I might wonder, okay, so she's a speech coach. Who exactly does she work with? So my only suggestion, I think you have an awesome start, but that would be to maybe make that a tiny bit more clear and specific if possible. If there's an age range or like a specific type of person that you want to work with. But the rest is awesome. Free Clubhouse accent room on Mondays. That's awesome. Okay, so let me look at your link tree really quick.
Oh gosh, I hope it works. Oh, good, it works.
Yes, you're good. I wanted to see what you have linked here. So, so your kind of call to action here is free Clubhouse accent room on Mondays. So I just want to make sure that's linked here. So you've got your Clubhouse. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so you've got your Facebook page, your LinkedIn, your Instagram. This might be a little overly picky, but I want to just share a little bit more insight with you about what I've learned. So, something that I've learned is that, especially on social media, as our attention spans get lower and lower and lower by the second, which is so sad, and I hate it, but it's just the reality that we live in. People need to be able to find exactly what they're looking for as fast as possible. So with that being said, I've learned that having more than 3 or 4 options in a link tree can almost create a little bit of overwhelm and is it like analysis paralysis? Is that the right term? So people might see these 7 options and they're like, whoa, okay, I don't know where to start. I'm going to X out of it. And again, this might be a little overly picky, but I just want to share with you that I've learned that. So if you wanted to take that advice and you wanted to maybe reduce the choices for somebody to or the decisions for somebody to have to make when they click on your link tree, I would probably remove these 3 here. Because I think if somebody really wants to follow you on Facebook, if somebody really wants to connect with you on LinkedIn, it's gonna be hard work to get them to do that from Instagram, but you could always offer something exclusive on Facebook or on Instagram offer something exclusive on Facebook or LinkedIn that you don't offer on Instagram. But if there's anything to remove from this link tree, again, just make it a little bit more clear and like easy 3 or 4 choices, I would probably remove those 3 because they're on Instagram and chances are they kind of want to stay on Instagram unless they're looking for something really specific that you are promoting, like your free guide. That's amazing. Like your maybe that's your main website, like your coaching session and your Clubhouse, since you specifically mentioned that in your bio. I think that could be another improvement. Again, I know it's picky. But
No, that's great. I really appreciate it. Do you think like visit my website on that link tree might be a better way? Because you are right. I think the second option is for just going to my website.
Yeah.
Because I know there are a lot of characters in that second option too. So maybe I can just shorten that to something more succinct.
Yeah, so I guess my my suggestion for that would be to give them, which I think you do. I was going to say give them a reason for why they would click on your website. So I guess let me clarify the question. Are you asking if in your bio you should have visit my website, or if this should read visit my website?
Exactly. Like what you have highlighted now should say visit maybe the Rooted Accents website or something, something shorter.
I honestly think that's great. I don't think you should change that unless you really want to and you have a clear reason to. I think that that's very clear. And I do think that having this kind of tagline, coaching for clear and confident speech, that reminds me what you do, and that tells me exactly what's on your website. And I think that's great. I personally don't see a need to change that unless you really want to. And yeah, it's a lot, like these are pretty in-depth. However, it's telling someone exactly what they're going to get when they click on this button. If I click on this one, I'm going to get information about a coaching session. If I click on this one, I'm going to go to your website and learn more about what you do on a more in-depth basis than what I might find on your Instagram. Again, free pronunciation guide. This is great. I honestly, though these are a little bit long or there's a lot of characters, I honestly wouldn't change these. So I think you're doing a great job with that aspect of it.
Great.
Yeah, yeah. So it looks like you've maybe experimented with some reels, which is awesome. Um, and yeah, I love that you have you have a personal element on your Instagram, which is huge. You know, people, especially in a service provider type of business or a personal brand or anything like that, people need to get to know you and get to know your personality and what you're all about and what you offer. So you're doing a great job with all of that. Um, I like that you're doing like some carousel posts, which would be great for like shareable content or educational content, content that somebody would want to save. So I think you're doing awesome with that as well. Word of what's the term? Testimonials or like client wins. This is great. I think you're doing a really great job. Is there anything that you feel like you need help with as far as the content goes, such as your reels or maybe your longer form videos? Is there anything as far as the actual content on your grid that you feel like you could use a little help with?
Well, I guess I have one question. I pretty much my goal is to post twice per week. I'm not always meeting that goal. I'm like 6 months pregnant and I'm
Oh,
just really
wow.
tired right now.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, if I can only post twice per week, what do you think my two posts should be? Like ideally, should I do a post and a reel? What do you think?
I love this question because I have a really clear, hopefully helpful answer for you. I would say that your top two priorities for your Instagram grid and like the actual long form content that will live on your page outside of stories and all of that. I would say it's going to be one reel per week, maybe even two reels per week if that works better for you. You know, a lot of people get in kind of a groove with reels, and if you're having a good day, which I know you mentioned you're tired right now, it is totally expected and totally valid, of course. But if you're having like a good day and you're feeling inspired, and you could record maybe 2 or 3 reels at a time, or maybe even more, then you can kind of batch those and keep them in your drafts and share them over the course of a couple of weeks. So again, what I was getting at is either one reel per week or 2 reels per week. If it's a week where you're going to do one reel and another post, I would say it's something like this. So again, informational, giving free value, carousels, like as hot as reels are right now, and as amazing they are for reaching a brand new audience outside of your current however many followers that you have. This is going to be great content that will build trust with people, and it gives you the opportunity to teach them something. People like to swipe, and people like to read content like this rather than a really long caption. I still personally read long captions if I'm interested in it, right? But I think people like this like bigger text, informational, I can swipe through and learn from this person. So I would say 2 per week honestly is great if that's something that you can be consistent with. And whether it's 2 reels per week or a reel and one of these carousel posts per week, I think that's awesome. And I'm sure you're already doing this, but like your Clubhouse content or information that you share in on your coaching calls or anything like that, that can absolutely be repurposed. So think about the things that you share with clients and things that you teach, or I guess like little phrases that would be great for a carousel post like this, and that can be easily repurposed for real content, but specifically for the carousel posts.
Great. Oh, that's a great point, because I don't repurpose nearly enough, and I know that's something that will help me save time. So thanks for reminding me about that.
Of course. Yeah, we all have to save time with content creation, right? And we do not have to reinvent the wheel all the time, meaning every single piece of content doesn't necessarily have to be a brand new idea. So even too, with you wanting to improve like content repurposing, you could, I don't know how long you've been sharing here on Instagram with this type of content, but you could also go into your insights and see what posts have had the most shares or the most saves or the most likes or the most comments. And you can kind of dig into that a little bit and see what people have liked. And if it's something that you shared a month ago, that's like your top saved post, or something that you shared 3 months ago, keep that in mind too. How can I repurpose this? Or how can I use this content in a new reel? Or how can I use this old reel from a month ago or 2 months ago and create it into a carousel post? There's lots of ways to repurpose, and you should never feel like you're being annoying because you're sharing the same things, because I promise you, again, to go along with the whole attention span thing declining by the second, I promise you that people don't remember what you shared a month ago. They may have not even seen it, right? So full permission to repurpose as much content as you want.
Great. Okay, I'm into that. Do carousels, is it okay if my face isn't on there? Because I know I've heard, faces are important, pictures, of people.
Yep.
Is that okay?
I think it's okay, yeah, because you're adding that human element to your page with other types of content, like your reels. You've got your nice, bright, welcoming photo in your bio. And the reason why I kind of picked this apart, not necessarily picked it apart because you already have a great start on this, but the reason why I spent a decent amount of time on this section is because people really look at that portion of your Instagram, and within 5 seconds or less, they're going to decide if they're going to follow you or not, and or they're going to decide if they want to look at the rest of your grid. So bio is so important to kind of draw people in. And then, with the content comes second as far as a new follower landing on your page. So again, I think you're doing such a great job and you have a great start. The human element is definitely there with your reels and your videos. Your carousels do not need your face or any photos unless you want to experiment with that and see how that goes too.
Great. Thank you so much, Hope. This has really been so valuable.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. You're welcome.
Great. Well, Hope, we have another question. So any recommendations on growing a like page on Facebook? I recently created one for my blog, but I have no idea where to start.
Great question. Okay, so almost just like any social media platform, in order to really grow on Facebook, some of the best content that you can prioritize is content that your ideal person would share. The reason why I share is kind of I hate to use the word magic, but it's kind of like one of the best metrics to shoot for, especially on Facebook, I would say, is because it takes your content and shares it to a whole new group of people that you will probably never reach on your own. So think about whatever your blog is about and whatever your page on Facebook is about, and who you're trying to reach. What do they need help with? What do they find humorous? Again, I don't know exactly what you're offering or what it's all about, but think about the person that you're trying to reach and what they need and what you want to offer them, and encourage, not being afraid to encourage engagement. So saying share if this resonated with you today, or share this with somebody that needs to hear this today. There's been kind of rumors before that Facebook will kind of demote your posts if you do that. I think you just do it sparingly, as far as like intentionally asking somebody to engage with you. But that would kind of be my general advice, is thinking about shareable content. What is something that my ideal customer or client or follower would want to share with their audience? And you can find that out if you're clueless about this. You can find that out by doing some market research. So like talking to some of the people that are like the others that you want to reach. So maybe you have 3 or 5 people in mind that are kind of ideal followers or ideal customers, and you're like, if I just had more of them, then I'd be doing great. So if you think of those 3 to 5 people, you start talking to them and you say, okay, why do you like Facebook? What type of content do you like on Facebook? If you're going to share something on Facebook, what is it and why? And again, kind of just asking them what they need help with. What are they entertained by? Why do they like social media right now? What type of content are they liking on social media right now? And kind of getting that information through those one-on-one conversations can help you so much to, again, in the future, create more content that will help you reach more people and grow more of those ideal followers or ideal customers.
Yeah, I hope that makes me think of, I know in the good old days on Facebook where you could create an event and spam every one of your friends to like it or to attend, and that's no longer an option. So unfortunately, or fortunately, apologies to all of my Facebook friends.
Right.
So would that be kind of a good way, like especially if you're kind of starting off on ground zero? Like, is it okay to just invite whomever to like it, or would you say there's strategy behind it?
I would say there's strategy behind it, especially if you want to have the long-term vision, which you should for any business or blog or anything. You should have a long-term vision in mind. And when you have a long-term vision in mind, that goes along with not being obsessed with fast growth or going viral instantly or things like that. A lot of times the most sustainable, best growth on social media comes really, really slowly. So keep that in mind. With that being said, I think you can kind of encourage friends and family, like, hey, share my post. If you want to support me, the best way you can support me is to link out to my blog once in a while. It would mean the world to me. With that being said, you don't necessarily want to invite every single one of your friends because you want an engaged community. So if you invite 300 friends and only 5 of them are people that actually would benefit from what you share, or 5 of them are actually potential ideal customers, then the other 295 or whatever aren't really going to help you. They're not really going to engage with you much. So be okay with like slow growth. But if you have supportive friends and family, sometimes it really does start there with kind of a grassroots effort. And the more people that start to understand what you do and what you offer, the better. But like grassroots kind of word of mouth is how a lot of things start. And then again, just with time and consistency and sharing that consistent content that your ideal follower wants or needs from you, that will help you grow that audience over time.
Great. Thank you so much, Hope. And Teddy, if you need any clarifications, feel free to put it in the chat. And we have another question. Hello, I'm a singer, artist, fitness, and wellness person, and I want to gain a following for when I post music on my page. But it's looking like it's going to take about a year for me to produce music I like and I'm happy with. What can I start to do to gain a following? Is it having a page with all those things detrimental to gaining followers? Should I be going live? Should I balance the post I have? What is your advice?
This is actually a perfect question to follow up with a thought that I just had for Teddy as well. Just to get a little bit more specific for you, Teddy, and as well as the person that just asked this question as well. I was going to recommend Facebook Live. The reason why Facebook Live is great for growing an audience is because it actually reaches, this number has changed quite a bit, but it reaches at least 4 times as many people as like a static post typically would, meaning like a photo. And the reason why we love Facebook Live is because it's personal, it's raw, it's engaging, and we feel like we can really get to know that person on the other side of the camera. And we are kind of craving that personal connection. So keep that in mind, Teddy, as well as the person that just asked this question as well. I think music would be awesome on Facebook Live, right? So think about things that are trending right now, or maybe top songs that are like in the billboards and in the top charts and things like that, and put your own spin on things like that. So I don't know if you do covers or anything like that, but I think that would be an awesome way to grow and kind of gain some traction that way. But even if you don't do covers and that wouldn't be in kind of your realm, then I think straight up sharing your music on Facebook Live, and maybe starting small with like a little preview and asking like, hey, is this something that you would like to see more often? Show me some love in the comments to if you want to see more, or kind of giving like a 30-second preview as a teaser and saying, if you want to hear the rest of this song, comment below with whatever, something like that. So I do think music would be awesome on Facebook Live especially, but any industry, Facebook Live is going to be a great priority for you to go along with other content that's like shareable and other content that's personal to you and helps people get to know you and what you'd offer.
Thank you. And we had a follow-up question, going live on the actual like page.
Yes, that would be my recommendation. I think that would be awesome. And another great thing, as far as live video, is I've seen people in like the baking industry, like say they have their own bakery or they have a home bakery, and or the crafting industry, like if somebody makes Christmas ornaments, for example. A lot of times, if you're in that type of business where it's like product based, or it's something that you could show the process on camera, behind the scenes, Facebook Live is awesome, and you don't even have to talk for the whole time. The truth is, people really like behind the scenes type of content, and again, that kind of reminds me of for the musician. Like if somebody just feels like they're sitting in your living room with you, with your guitar or with your piano or whatever it may be, they kind of feel like they're behind the scenes a little bit, and they're getting like exclusive content from you. And that's what we really like on social media, and that's what people are drawn to. So I would say behind the scenes Facebook Lives, as well as just straight up talking to the camera once in a while on Facebook Live, would be a really, really great strategy. And just know if Facebook Live or live video or video on social media in general, if it terrifies you, it gets better with practice, and people aren't nitpicking you as much as you might think they are, right? So it only gets better with practice, and it's definitely going to be a great thing for your business or whatever you offer. Video content is just, it's kind of crucial on social media these days.
Yeah. So I guess kind of another question I'm finding from Priscilla's question as well. If the music isn't ready, or if that's not an option at this point, is there a way to brand themselves to get following and then changing that brand later on in the future? So like focusing on the artist, fitness, wellness aspect, and then incorporating music in at a later date to an existing audience.
Absolutely. So the best thing about building a personal brand, which is literally just your name, or a nickname, or however you want to go about it, is that you can pivot over time. And when you're building a personal brand, you're really just kind of letting people into who you are, what you offer, and what you do. So if you just start out by saying in some of your posts, like introducing yourself, sharing your goals for the next year or so, or sharing what you're working on to get to that place where you can share your music, and kind of letting people in on your personality a little bit, and think again about the type of person that will like your music down the road. What other things do they like? Do they like, I don't know, I'm thinking of like country music, for example. Do they also like Western fashion? Do they also like, I think you said wellness, right, Madeline? So do
Yeah.
they also like, workout ideas, or what type of music you listen to while you're at the gym, things like that. Think about other things that would attract that potential person that you are trying to reach. And again, as a personal brand, you absolutely have the freedom to pivot and change over time, because you're just allowing the people on the internet to kind of get to know you and the content that you put out there.
Great. So yeah, her other question of, is having a page with all these things detrimental? It sounds like the answer is no.
Yeah, I would not say so. I think, and I've taught this in a previous training, so I think you would have access to the replays. But I would maybe go back to a previous training where I talked about building content pillars and having a content strategy. So as a personal brand, you can choose 3 to 5 topics and 3 to 5 again is just kind of a general number, but thinking about a few different topics that you would consistently want to share on. As long as you kind of stay in that realm, you're building a brand around what you like, what you're passionate about, as well as what your ideal listener in the future of your music is also going to be passionate about and will also resonate with. So I think the only way that like a personal brand can get detrimental is if it's totally random every single day. 1 minute you're sharing about this, 1 minute you're sharing about this, and you have 30 different things that you're talking about, and then people start to lose sight of who you are and what you're all about. So I would again jog your memory or listen to that replay about like content pillars and content strategy, and kind of determine 3 to 5 kind of overall buckets of content. One of them can be music, one of them can be wellness, one of them can be your journey as a musician, whatever it may be. But as long as you stay somewhat clear as far as the things that you and your ideal follower in the future are passionate about, then I think you're going to be building a clear brand where people know exactly what you're all about and what you can help them with or what you can entertain them with.
Yeah, so the replays are actually on the Champaign Public Library's YouTube account. So Hope did 3 webinars for us previously, one on LinkedIn, most recent, Facebook, and then Instagram. And when I email out the recording of this webinar, I'll also link to those initial 3. But I can also just go ahead and share the YouTube link in the comment box here.
Awesome.
Yeah. The best. Thank you. Yeah. And I also want to encourage, I know it's kind of intimidating to share essentially your social media handle and have Hope look at it. But I really want to encourage you guys, if you want to do an audit, now is the time, even if you're in the beginning stages.
Yes. The beginning stages is the best time to do it, because then it's like brand new and fresh. And honestly, when you have a small audience, if you get all of this stuff right in the beginning, it's going to help you even more in the future. So thank you again to Allison for being brave and being willing to share. Of course, I will help you as much as I can, and kind of give you again that outsider lens, which a lot of times is what is the most helpful. Sometimes we are so in our business or in exactly what we do that sometimes we don't think of like the most simple things, right? So having somebody else to kind of to help you and audit what you're doing is really beneficial. So I'm here for anyone. And if there's anyone listening to the replay of this later, and you want to message me on Instagram, I'd be happy to voice memo you back. I do voice memos all the time, so I could kind of audit you that way too if you're listening to the replay later.
All right, well, I'm going to be brave. And I just entered in, this is my Instagram handle for a side business, but I want to get your opinion on it because I feel like it's really hard. So mine is just products. And I know in your earlier webinars, you talked about like having that 80-20, 80% content, 20% like this is what you're actually selling. And I think as someone who's producing items, I don't, it's so hard to find that balance.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Okay, so what I'm gonna do again is share my screen here. Um, okay, let's see, share. Okay, awesome. I love your logo, first of all. I think that that's great. And again, as opposed, this is the right one, right?
Yeah, yeah. And
Okay.
I definitely, after listening to the first audit, I'm like, I should probably work on my profile.
Hey, that's okay. That's what we're here for.
Yep.
And yeah, no worries at all. So I love your logo. I think that's fun and eye-catching. And again, kind of opposed to Allison, where she's a service provider. I do think in your case, this logo is a better fit. So I know I shared that I loved Allison's bright, clear photo of her face, but I think in this case, a more product-based business, something like that is honestly great. And like, I just have to point out that I love that this literally kind of matches this right here. And it just, I don't know, it just kind of creates like a little bit of brand consistency for me immediately, just brand new to your page. And I definitely get these keywords in your bio. I get that right away from a very quick snapshot of your page. I would add something searchable to the rest of your name field section. Again, that's that bold section. So whether it's colorful jewelry, I know it looks like you have more than just jewelry though. Is that right?
It's actually mainly just earrings. I made scrunchies for someone once, but yeah, what are your tips on like kind of where should I put in the valuable content?
Yeah, that's a great
That's not
question.
of the product itself. I guess that's
Mhm.
I have no idea.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think again, a really simple way to add value, introduce you into all of this. Because obviously in a product-based business, you want to show off your products, right? But to have a little bit more of that human element and get people to kind of like you, trust you, and know who you are, the person behind the earrings and the person who's making the earrings as a side business. I think reels would be awesome right now, and or a photo of you once in a while, again, kind of showing the behind the scenes. So if you could ever imagine propping your phone up in front of you, or if you have a tripod and you could kind of prop it up to show the process of you making the jewelry. Again, people love that behind the scenes content. So like a time-lapse video of you actually making one of these earring sets, or I love the reels that are something just like that, almost a video of you doing your thing and making your product. And then there's like a voiceover or just text on the screen that kind of tells your business story. Why do you do what you do? When did you start your earrings business, and why do you do it, and who is it for? Kind of that storytelling content is going to add that personal touch to your brand, and I think that would be awesome. So adding in valuable reels, and or just photos of you once in a while. I get that human element here a little bit, which I love, and I would love to see that a little bit more often on your feed. So yeah, you've got some of that. I think just kind of increasing that a little bit, especially with reels, would be awesome, and kind of building out this bio section a little bit more. Again, something searchable here in the name field section, and then the rest of this bio. I need information for how I can order them. I need information for where you're located, maybe, and maybe just a little bit more about the personality of your brand. I'd love to see that built out a little bit more in the bio.
Great, thank you. So we do have someone shared another handle, and I feel like
Okay,
that would be something great to end on. So it's within the
awesome.
chat, ITZPX111.
Okay, don't be nervous. We
That
are all
was
here to help. We're here to help each other, right? Okay, I don't know why my copy and paste is not working. So it's PX, and then the numbers were, oh, there you are, I think, 111, right? Yes, okay, awesome. Okay, so let's see here. Again, you've got a good picture of yourself in the profile section. That's great.
Do you want to share your screen, Hope?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
Thank you.
Of course. I got a little ahead of myself. Okay, here we go. So yeah, you've got a photo of yourself in your profile section, which I think is great. This might be, I don't know, this might be overly picky, and take my advice or leave it, but my suggestion would actually be like a closer up photo of you, because think about how tiny this photo is when you're in like the news feed of your Instagram. So I'm going to just show you. Think about how small that is when somebody is glancing at their news feed. I think it's important to have a bright, clear photo of you or of your logo in a different type of business, because that's going to help kind of create that brand recognition a little bit more. So I would suggest a tighter crop of a photo of you. I'm kind of big on like, something smiling, or anything that you think would resonate with the person that you are trying to reach. You know that better than I do. So anyway, let's dive into to the rest. So again, if you want to grow your Instagram, I would add something searchable here. So it looks like you are multi-passionate, which I love, and I can resonate with that. I love a lot of different things. So you're a Chicago artist, a singer, a poet, a dancer, Latina, health and fitness enthusiast. Okay, so my suggestion for your bio section is to really kind of decide maybe the one thing that you want to be known for, or the main thing that you want to be known for. I am going to maybe take a wild guess, and because I see a lot of fitness related content, I'm going to take a wild guess. If I'm wrong, just let me know. But I'm going to take a wild guess that like health and fitness may be the main purpose of your Instagram. And if it's not, I would just try to decide what the main thing is that you want to be known for, and add that to your name field section. So when somebody's looking for you, what would they search for? Would they search for, whatever type of health and fitness enthusiast you are? So do you lift? Do you do yoga? Do you do HIIT interval training? I would add something kind of specific there. Again, if it's not health and fitness, just take this advice for whatever other industry that you want to be known for, but I would add that to the name field section, because that's something that people can search for. All of these other pieces of information about you are great, but the thing is, it's like all about you, rather than kind of attracting the person that you want to attract. So again, put yourself in the shoes of the person that you want to reach, and grab their attention right away with this bio section on Instagram. So you could say something like, again, I'm going to kind of go off of this health and fitness example, but use this advice for whatever it is that you want to make your Instagram all about. But I'm going to go off of that example and say, maybe you have Chicago with a little pin drop emoji so people know your location, but you have, I share daily workouts on my Instagram stories, or follow me for fitness tips, or something that kind of draws that person in. It's still about you, and it's still about what you offer, but it's giving that value to somebody else right away, and it's telling them why exactly they should follow you, rather than just the few things that kind of make you, because all the rest of this you can take care of in the rest of your content and on your Instagram stories. Okay, so again, kind of think about the overall purpose of your Instagram and that exact person that you want to reach, whether it's business related or not quite yet. If you're just in the personal branding realm right now, then that's great too. but I think being kind of specific is a great place to start. So that would be my quick suggestions for kind of for this overall section. And I mean, you're beautiful. You have great content already. I would just focus on creating valuable content for the person that you're trying to reach. Again, you've got the personal element down, which is great. So those would be kind of my quick suggestions on that one.
Well, thank you so much, Hope. And on that note, we finished right at 8 o'clock. So that's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us this evening. Thank you all for joining us. We're getting a lot of thank you so much, Hopes. You are amazing. So thank you all for joining. So a quick kind of mention for next business webinar. We are taking a break for this is our last webinar for December. In January, we're going back to in-person. So we have Sparkle Sanders. She's a consultant who does business consulting and also life coaching. She's going to be coming in Monday, January 10th to talk about how to fireproof your goals and to set yourself and your business up for success. So I hope to see you all there. There's no registration because it's in person, so just come on in. And without further ado, again, Hope, we're getting lots of thank yous, lots of helpful tips, and I will be sharing Hope's previous webinars via email once I send out the recording. And Hope, what's the best way for others to get in contact you if they want to connect?
Yeah, of course. So Instagram is my favorite. I probably spend the most time there and put the most effort into growing my business and sharing tips like this on Instagram. So it's actually Hope_Linker right now, but I did get married a few months ago and that is still my maiden name. So that will be changing soon. So if you follow me now at Hope_Linker, then we'll be able to connect and you'll still have me once I once I kind of rebrand and figure out my new direction for my personal brand and my social media agency. So I would love to connect on Instagram, and thank you for being here. Thank you for asking questions. This was fun. I loved the audit portion. I feel like I could do this all day. So if there were any other questions that you have, you can just message me on Instagram and I would be happy to help.
Well, thank you so much, Hope. Again, this was a wonderful way to spend Monday evening, and I'm kind of sad this whole Social Media 101 series is over, but thank you again for sharing your experience and expertise with our amazing library community. So if anyone has any additional questions, feel free to email the library at librarian@champaign.org. Again, we do record all of our webinars, so you can find those on our YouTube channel. Just search Champaign Public Library Business and you'll see a whole playlist of lots of really great resources and material. So have a wonderful evening, a wonderful week, happy holidays. Enjoy the year.
Yes, yes. Thank you all so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.